Sunday night, I went to bed and I couldn't fall asleep because all I kept hearing on the radio and on TV was all this warm weather we were going to have this week. It bothered me and bothered me. I'm like, doggone, it's the Bryce County Fair, it's going to be hot again. Well, I finally fell asleep and I had a dream. And I was dreaming and I came up to the pearly gates and St. Peter met me at the gates. He goes to me, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well," I said, "I'd like to talk to your boss and order some cooler weather for the Rice County Fair." And he looks at me and he grumbles and he said, "Well, he's busy." I said, "Well, could you give him a message?" And he goes, "What would that message be?" And I said, "Well," I said, number one, we'd like some cool weather for the Rice County Fair that week." So that's an awful tall order. He says, "Why are you asking for so much?" He says, "Maybe you should scale it down some." So I said, "Well," I said, "I have this Best of the Best program that starts off on Wednesday morning." I said, "If you could give us a little breeze from the north, so when we're in this building that's opened up with a fence, that we could have a breeze nicely blowing through here to keep us cool." I said, "That would be very nice. I'd appreciate it." By God, he listened to me.
First time.
So anyhow, I want to welcome everybody here.
These are your friends, John. You got to see the people that don't like you.
I'm just glad that we got some nice weather here. It's comfortable. We're not hot. We got a nice little breeze blowing through here. Hopefully we'll be comfortable. And but with that said, I want to welcome everybody. I want to say thank you for all you do, for being involved in agriculture here in Rice County, because we need you. We need everybody working for agriculture. And for one day to be able to come to the Rice County Fair and be honored and to celebrate agriculture, I really, really appreciate you being out here, and I welcome you here. And by all means, don't make today be your last stop. Come on out here during the week. I think we got a great lineup set up throughout the fair. We got great food vendors here. We got the carnival here. The carnival is even bigger than it was last year. We got some great entertainment on the grandstand and free entertainment. So, come on out and visit us as much as you can this week. We really appreciate it.
And before you leave the stage, John, we have to let the Rice County Fair ambassadors do their official welcome too. You're unofficial now. They're ranking.
Well, I got one more thing I want to say. Kind of important. We all had breakfast. I know breakfast is over with, but I said, let's bow our heads and let's thank God for everything that He's given us, all the opportunities He's allowed us, our trials and our tribulations, our successes. We thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day and all that you do, all of our farmers and all those involved in agriculture. Thank you. And one more thing. I got this.
You know what they tell you in broadcasting schools? Never give up the mic.
That's right. And I don't have a hook here yet, so I can talk as long as I want. One other thing. Let's take a moment and remember those that aren't able to be with us here tonight and those that have passed. Thank you. Now I'll turn the mic over to Jerry.
Finally. Gretchen Todd up here.
All right, good morning everyone. My name is Gretchen Horman. I'm a member of the Fair Board here and the chair of our Ambassador Committee. On Saturday evening, we selected 5 new ambassadors from our candidates. We had 15 candidates this year. And our new ambassadors, we are missing one currently. She's showing sheep. Her name is Carly Flum, and she was sponsored by Purvis Farms. And then I'm going to let my ambassadors that are here introduce themselves.
Good morning, I'm Monica Elvers, and I'm sponsored by Temple Concessions.
Good morning, my name is Hannah Kraft, and I was sponsored by Peter's Clean Sweep and Power Back.
Good morning, my name is Allison DuPont, and I was sponsored by the State Bank of Faribault.
Hi, my name is Daphne Luco. I was sponsored by Whiting Fish.
And somebody trained them really well. Always remember to mention your sponsors, right? John, you have a special award, the Friend of the Rice County Fair, you'd like to present before we move on, because he says he's having a busy day. I don't know why the fair manager would have a busy day, but anyway. Oh, got it.
I got it. And one other thing before I announce this. This is Jerry's first time with his equipment, so could you please kind of watch him when he falls and help pick up, because I'm afraid he's going to get tangled up in all these cords. Gotcha. I have an award here, and I've been giving out this award for a number of years now, and I always want to give it to an individual that has done something for the fair. The individual that I picked this year is long deserving of it. He's put his time in, and it's long past due that I honor him, but he's done, years ago, tons and tons of work for the fair. He was very instrumental when it came to building the new 4-H building. That's how far back this goes. But at this time, I would like Robert Dubon to come up, and he's my friend of the fair this year. So Bob, on behalf of the Fair Board, I'd like to present you with this year's Friend of the Fair for 2018.
Well, congratulations, Bob. And should mention, I was supposed to remind all of the award recipients that pictures are over by the big banner that's set up over there. So please go over there, and Cassie and Tara will do their thing. Well, this has been quite a joint operation for a number of years between the Faribault Chamber of Commerce Agribusiness Committee, the Rice County Fair, and of course then KDHL helping too. I'd like to call on Claire LeCan and Cassie Steves. Claire, of course, we all know her as Extension Educator in Rice and Steele County. She only has one alias, the Bug Geek, but that's another story. And she's the president of the Faribault Chamber of Commerce Agribusiness Committee.
Yes, thanks, Jerry. Oh, okay. My hand's not big enough. Yes, so thanks. I am the current chair of the Faribault Agribusiness Committee at the Chamber of Commerce, and for over 100 years, the Faribault Chamber has supported agriculture as a thriving, necessary sector in our community. Our Agribusiness Committee is made up of hardworking individuals who are passionate about agriculture, and they're listed at the back of your program. Our mission and purpose is to promote ag education and careers, as well as advance and promote relationships between farm and business. To learn more about the Ag Committee, you can talk to me or Cassie, who is the Operations Director at the Faribault Chamber.
Thanks everyone for coming and all of your hard work.
That's it? Now, just a quick story about Cassie and what she has to do, because some of us have been known to run off on tangents and run in all different directions, and it's Cassie there at the chamber that kind of tries to keep us most of the time pointed in the right direction. I've heard it's fairly difficult to herd cattle, but I've heard it's really difficult to herd cats, but Cassie does a pretty good job at it. Let's give Cassie in the chamber another round of applause. Now, what really started this was the Rice County Agriculture Hall of Fame program. Art Madsen is the head of that subcommittee. Come on up, Art, and we'll thank our special sponsor of the Hall of Fame program. Let's give Jake a round of applause. The best of the best, the Rice County Agriculture Hall of Fame program. Quickly, I'd like to mention the sponsors of this broadcast so we can put it on the air, and hopefully there are some other counties that are thinking maybe we should start something like that in our county too. So thanks to Ag Partners over there in Morristown, the Dakota Rice Corn and Soybean Growers, in cooperation with the Rice County Pork Producers, and Warner Farm Seed up at Dundas. Well, Art Madsen is here, the chairman of the subcommittee, the Hall of Fame program with the Faribault Chamber of Commerce Agribusiness Committee. We have two more inductees to recognize in the 2022 class, Rice County Agriculture Hall of Fame.
And before we invite the Salmon family up, I do want to tell the winners, we'd like you to leave these plaques here with us today. They will be on display during the Rice County Fair in the Gillen Building. Thank you, Jake Gillen, for donating funds to make that building happen. And after the fair, I promise you, Claire LeCan or someone from the committee will get these delivered to you, so they will get back to you for safekeeping. But we get a lot of people through the fair, through the Gillen Building, that see them, and we've got a nice area that we have them on display. We'll have the Tom Salmon family come on up then and make this presentation to Tom.
We have Howard Schoenfeld who's going to say a few words about Tom and his family. Howard?
Yeah, I'm one of them guys that, a non-family member that nominated someone. And I do work for the Salmons as a grower in their hog operation. So Tom Salmon, though, has probably been best known in the county and across the state for his involvement and leadership in the dairy industry. But Tom understood the importance of diversity on the farm and added pork production to his operation. It has been through that part of the operation that we have really gotten to know Tom. Tom has allowed us and other producers in the Rice County area to utilize our buildings and our pork production knowledge to provide a quality pork product for a larger scale operation. One of the criteria for this award is the individual's leadership in agriculture on a county, state, and national level, with the county being the priority. So on the county level, Tom was active with the Rice County Dairy Herd Improvement Association, also known as DHIA, where he served on the board of directors and as vice president and president. He has also been involved in Rice County ADA, Pork Producers, and Farm Bureau. Tom told us he was doing his community duty when he served 10 plus years, some of those as chair, on the Rice County Comprehensive Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment. He was also a member of the Rice County Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee. Tom was a Rice County 4-H member, later served as a 4-H club leader for 6 years. He has supported and worked with both 4-H and FFA programs as a parent and a grandparent. On the state level, he served on the board of directors and president of the Minnesota DHIA. The Salmon family was recognized as the 1989 Rice County Farm Family of the Year and the Minnesota All-American Farm Family. Tom also served on the National DHIA Board of Directors and as president. He was the recipient of the National DHIA H. Victor Joachim Distinguished Leadership Award. The criteria for this award is to be a DHIA dairy producer who has held a leadership position in DHIA and rendered outstanding and unselfish service for many years. The salmon farm is a 4-generation farm. Currently, 3 generations are working together. He has been a great leader and mentor for his family as the grandchildren become involved in the operation. Although there have been many roadblocks and difficult times in agriculture over the years, Tom remains determined to persevere and makes the most of any given situation. This includes working harder and smarter to make sure the farm remains viable for generations to come. There is no doubt in our mind that Tom Salmon is a very deserving recipient of this induction into the Rice County Agricultural Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I'm quite humbled to receive this, but I'm just the name out front. I would like to introduce the family because they're the ones, excuse me, they're the ones that behind the scenes that get things done. So first of all, my wife Linda, and I'm going to start at the oldest, Lisa. Come on up. Her son, Preston, and his bride of about 6 weeks. Preston is now a full-time partner. Come on up. Might as well fill the whole front end here. Next, Jenny, who is not able to be here, but her and her husband are in Iowa, and her grandson's playing in that state baseball tournament in Iowa today. Next, go to Beth. And her daughters, Sydney and Michaela, showing cattle, pigs today, this week. Next, Jill, and her, Eric, is he here? Sons, Garrett, Dylan, where are you? There, there's Garrett. He went to work. Garrett had to go to work. Dylan is a full-time partner in the operation at this point. Doug, look at you. Tara and Nick and their 2 kids, Tyler and Maddie. They are dairy farmers at Sauk Center. And last, the mainstay for our operation, Andy, our son Andy, Molly, and the future workers are coming up, the youngest ones, even the little red-headed Riley. So that is the family. I'm just the name out front. They're the ones that get things done behind us. So I appreciate this greatly.
More inductee into the 2022 Bryce County Agriculture Hall of Fame program.
And Dr. Dean Franz was nominated by John Holden, who is unable to be here today. So he sent his little brother to make this award. So Kent, if you want to come up with the Franz family and make this presentation.
I'll hold the mic for you. Okay. They're all coming up here.
Okay, my name is Kent Holden. John, my brother, is really one who did all the work in putting together this nomination for Dean. Dean is a very deserving recipient for the Bryce County Hall of Fame. And Dean was a good friend of mine for many years, and I got to know the Franz family over the last few years. And Dean, as many of you maybe know, Dean was a very unique individual, to say the least. Dean was from Mountain Lake, Minnesota originally. He migrated to eventually to right on Northfield and the vicinities around Northfield. Dean went to through high school. He was very involved in FFA and 4-H. He had a mentor in the FFA program with Damas Folby that really helped instill his interest in dairy cows. And he kind of took off from there after getting real involved in the dairy industry. Dean, again, was very unique, but he had 2 main interests that I could observe, and that was that he really loved, he had a passion for dairy cows and for people. And his career in the dairy industry really evolved from after high school and college. He went to the University of Minnesota Vet School, and I got to know Dean when we both were freshmen. He was a sophomore actually at the University of Minnesota Morris. We were both on the football team. And both of us decided we wanted to pursue more agriculture interests, and he went to the St. Paul campus in vet school, and I went just to the main campus at St. Paul to pursue a degree in ag economics. And I didn't really know Dean a lot during those college years. I would see him occasionally on campus and say hi to him, but other than that, I didn't really see him. After Dean got his vet degree in 1971, he went to work at Kenyon Vet Clinic and really became, again, really involved in the dairy industry, and he was known for spotting the perfect dairy cow. He was always in pursuit of looking for the best dairy cow possible. And he gained a reputation in that area as helping farmers upgrade their dairy cows and their dairy herds, and I think a lot of people are indebted to him because of this. Then he became acquainted with a fellow in south of Northfield in Rice County by the name of John Holmes, and he and John became good friends. John was quite a bit older than Dean, but Dean looked at him as a father figure and really helped Dean mold his life in the dairy industry and really, again, help pursue what he wanted to do as far as his lifetime endeavors. Eventually, in 1975, Dean ended up buying John Holmes' farm called Homeacres Holstein Farms, and he became real involved in working with not only local but national and international people that were interested in the dairy industry, helping find cows that help upgrade their farms. He got so involved that he was working with many countries overseas, including South Korea, Egypt, Ecuador, Turkey, Mexico, Canada, and Saudi Arabia. I probably missed some countries that he visited. And he got very involved in helping find dairy cows. He called himself a cattle relocator, is what I read. Which is really another term for a broker, I think. But he really helped a lot in the dairy industry throughout the whole world in helping improve their dairy herds. So, as I said earlier, Dean had a passion for cows and for people, and the people side is really where I got to know Dean more than on the dairy side. And I had, we were in school at the University of Minnesota in 1965. I didn't really see Dean and get to know him until about 20 years later when I was a member of the Northfield Methodist Church. And one day I saw Dean and Bryce sitting there and said, "What are you doing here? Don't you belong in Mountain Lake or somewhere else?" And so we became good friends there. And Dean, as you know, was a very interesting and curious person. And we would sit in the back pew, and we got in trouble frequently because Dean was always asking questions about what we should do or what we needed to improve. And that was quite an experience, just getting to know him better then. According to what Pam said, Dean always looked for the better part of everybody, and she said that Dean would see that there's good people all over the world, and that's kind of the attitude and the philosophy that Dean had from my perspective. Dean was he was not into meetings and bureaucracy and self-recognition. He just didn't want to take time for spending time on things that would take forever to get resolved. But he was very generous, authentic. He had a great sense of humor. I read that he was non-judgmental, but I don't know if I agreed entirely with that. But he was just a great storyteller. He and I would go to different games in Minneapolis, and I invited him along as I got to know him better. And hearing some of the stories was just about unbelievable, the things that he did in his younger life. I don't know if Pam even knows all those stories. The other thing to kind of show who Dean was, he and Pam would host frequent lunches at their farmhouse and invite all sorts of people from all walks of life just to have a great discussion about politics or the dairy industry or what's going on at the local level or whatever. He did that. They hosted a lot of international students. They did kind of a halfway house for people that had needed more direction in their life, and some of those worked out, some didn't, according to Pam. So Dean invited me on many cattle buying trips. I know he invited me to go to Canada, and he would go just on the spur of the moment. 2 or 3 days later, he'd be back. But I never took him up on that. But he did talk about going to Cuba. He claimed that Fidel Castro's brother had the best dairy herd in the Western Hemisphere. So finally, Jay, his brother, Larry Larson, and I said, well, let's go down there. Let's really find out what's going on, if there's really a good dairy herd down in Cuba. So we got about 5 years ago now almost. It was we found somebody locally in the Twin Cities that was actually a Cuban national that had family back in Cuba and had lived in Minnesota for quite a while, and we hired him to help us guide us to Cuba, so we thought he would know his way around there. So we got to Cuba and started looking for this dairy herd, and we just couldn't find anything, but we did run into a horse farm, and Dean said he got real involved in that and started looking at all the horses, going in the barn, opening up their mouths and determining how healthy and what age they were and whatever. So we did not find the dairy herd, but we did find a thoroughbred horse farm. So with that, the other thing I'd like to mention kind of to me epitomizes what Dean, who he really was. In his later years, he suffered from a heart problem, heart disease, and he could be put on a list for heart transplants at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, but he chose not to do that. He continued getting treatment and medication, but he said, I'm not going to do that. There are other people more worthy than I am to receive this heart, and I've lived a full and productive life. I want somebody else that can do this, and I do not want to spend my last years suffering from not knowing what my outcome might be. So he eventually passed from this, but that to me tells a lot about who Dean was as a person. With that, I'd like to introduce Pam, his wife, and the rest of
Pam, would you like to say a couple words and just introduce family members that are here?
Yes. Hi, thank you. First of all, thank you, Kent, and thank you to John for bringing this forward. And also, there is one important thing in all of this, and Dean would be the first to admit, that a lot of it wouldn't have been possible if it wouldn't have been for a great banker. Right, Art? But this is our Dean's son, Jeremiah Franz, his wife Bethany, my son Eric, and my son-in-law JJ Stenzel, and daughter Mary, and the 2 grandkids who will be continuing with the homemakers tradition are in the other room. And thank you.
Well, let's give them a round of applause. And moving along, another very important award, a great family to recognize, with the Rice County Farm Family of the Year. And here's Extension Educator in Rice and Steele County, Claire LeCamp. And the client, come on, make your way up here.
By University of Minnesota, nominated by peers here in Rice County and selected by the Rice County Extension Committee. The Samaro farm was settled by Charles Samaro in the early 1890s, and Charles' son Herman took over the operation in the 30s, and he was followed by his son Herb in the 1950s. Then in the 80s, Herb's sons Ron, Gordon, Keith, and Wayne assumed ownership. The 4 brothers and their families now own and run the operation. The farm currently consists of 800 milking cows. All heifer calves are raised as replacements, and steers are raised and sold as feeders. The cropping operation consists of approximately 2,200 acres of corn, soybean, wheat, oats, alfalfa, and grass hay. The Samaros are also contract growers for Jenny-O turkeys. The Samaros stay busy on and off the farm, and the brothers' mother, Marion, just turned 95 and works out in the calf barn every day. I think that's pretty impressive. The rest of the family includes Ron and his wife Brenda. I'll let them introduce themselves too. But their sons Matt and Tyler, Gordon and his wife Hindi, their children Judd, Jack, and JC, Keith and his wife Jackie, their children Lisa and Wyatt, and Wayne and his wife Abby. The 4 brothers manage the farm, and labor is supplied by about 25 people, including the 7 members of the 5th generation and employees. The Samaros value giving back, as evidenced by the breadth of their involvement. The brothers and their wives are involved in a number of organizations: Rice County ADA, Land O'Lakes Board, school boards, church boards, 40 Square Board, lots of boards here, Highway Aid Board, North Morristown Community Club, Ag Partners Board, and Genesis Board. Additionally, they serve as FFA leaders, 4-H advisors, youth sports coaches, volunteer firefighters, and Sunday school teachers. And the University of Minnesota is honored to recognize the Samaros as the 2022 Rice County Farm Family of the Year for their contributions to agriculture and their local communities.
Yeah, I'm going to say a few words too, but I've noticed Jerry's holding his arm like this because I think he's getting tired, so I'm not going to talk a lot. But when Claire called in February, March, or said we were selected for this, it's quite an honor, and we're really kind of surprised and overwhelmed and honored to receive this. And looking at the past list of people, we're joining quite an elite group. So we'd like to thank the Chamber and the Agribusiness Tourism Committee and everything. But also we'd like to thank the community. When you run a dairy farm, you're up and down the road at 2 in the morning and doing a lot of different things. So without the support and overwhelming support of the community, we could not be where we're at now. So thank you to our communities.
I guess I'd just like to echo what Gordon said about being honored to be selected as a Farm Family of the Year. For us, the 4 brothers, I think agriculture is really all we've ever known. From a young age, I remember when we were pushing toy tractors on the floor and making paper cows. And we always, that's just what we've done our whole life. But I think the one thing that we can also be thankful for is the fact that our parents supported us through everything. And our parents helped us get started farming, and they supported us as a family. And so with that being said, I think to put more people up here than the Salmon family had, I actually think we should have all the rest of our family come up, just so you can see what the numbers, and I think you'd like to see our 95-year-old mother walk up in front, and so if the rest of the family will come up now.
Well, they have to come up anyway to go for the picture.
They will have to come up, but back in '94 when we built our, when we kind of went into a partnership together, our mom said that, she said, you can't exclude us from the farming operation. And so then at that time we realized Mom and Dad were there through it for us. So this is the family. I'm not quite sure if we put as many up as a salmon family, but we're trying. So.
Well, let's give the Samuel family a hand. And we have the Conservation Award. So Teresa, while you're making your way up, I have a story to tell you about Herb. I was out seeing your new barn shortly after it was built, and Herb was having trouble getting around, but be darned if he was going to sit in the house. So he was in the office out at the barn, and he was making out of something he would cut in the shape of a tractor or a combine or a baler, a round baler, and then he would stitch it the right colors. And I still have those over on my desk at the studio that Herb gave me, 25 years ago. But he wanted to be a part of the operation. That summed it up right there. Well, now we have some conservation awards. Outstanding conservationists in Rice County. Teresa DeMars is with the Rice County SWCD is here to recognize a number of recipients doing a great job with the environment. Teresa, I'll hold the mic.
Thank you for having us today. And we're going to start out with the Wildlife Enhancement Award, which is presented to individuals or organizations who do an exemplary job in implementing conservation practices that benefit Rice County wildlife. Steve and Faith Lund of rural Faribault are this year's recipients of the award. Would you please come forward? On 4 generations, the Jericks have been managing their family woodlands in rural Wheatland and Webster Township. Around 50 years ago, their father, Tom Jerick, began working with Tom Kramer, DNR forester in the Faribault field office, to improve wildlife habitat. This included the planting of thousands of black walnut, white pine, and red pine trees. The family has continued to work with the DNR by enrolling their woodland in the Forest Stewardship Program. Their stewardship plan was recently renewed and updated by Jake Froyam at the DNR field office here in Faribault. A key component of the Jericks Forest Management Plan has been invasive species management, especially European buckthorn. The family has spent many hours in the woodlands controlling this non-native, invasive shrub and tree that outcompetes and displaces natural or native plants in the understory. Today, Cheryl Jerick, daughter of Tom Jerick, leads the care of the Jericks Forest Land. In addition to day-to-day management activities of trees, Cheryl is active in outreach to other landowners by teaching them about controlling invasive species and woodland management. She is active in Minnesota Women's Woodland Network and has also presented courses to others in safe chainsaw operation, invasive species control, native plant landscaping, and woodland management. Cheryl is the founder of Landscape Restoration Incorporated, which assists landowners with invasive species management and restoration of native plant and wildlife habitat. The Jerick family's commitment and dedication to stewardship and forest conservation make them an excellent selection for the 2022 Forest Stewardship Award. Congratulations. It is my honor to present this year's award to Jerick Family Farms of rural Kilkenny. Would you please come forward? Jim Jerick and his family operate a 70-head cow-calf beef operation while also growing organic crops, harvesting honey, and producing maple syrup. For over 40 years, they have been implementing conservation practices on the farm. In the barnyard, the Jericks installed an egg waste system to store manure and prevent runoff. They also pasture their beef cattle and use rotational grazing to reduce erosion and maintain quality forage for their animals. The Jareks have installed fencing to keep their cattle out of the stream that passes through their pasture. In addition, they utilize manure and nutrient management to efficiently apply nutrients to their crops. The Jareks tap around 3,000 maple trees each year to produce their maple syrup. Their forest land is managed through the Forest Stewardship Program, and 70 acres of their woodlands is permanently protected from development through the Forest Legacy Program. Out in the field, the Jareks park the plow in the fall to reduce soil erosion on their land. They also utilize no-till and cover crops on some of their cropland acres. Grassed waterways, sediment basins, and a system of contoured terraces also protect the soil from erosion. The Jareks have 70 acres of prairie and wetlands restored on their property through the Reinvest in Minnesota RIM program. This restoration provides high-quality habitat for wildlife and pollinators, including 108 bee colonies. The Jarek stewardship of their land and dedication to conservation and soil health make them an excellent choice for the 2022 Outstanding Conservationist Award. Congratulations.
Well, let's give all 3 award recipients of Conservation Awards another round of applause. And remember, we promised after the program, we have one more award that we want to recognize. The Rice County Farm Bureau has a special presentation. Randy Hansen, the president of the Rice County Farm Bureau.
Good morning. Barb, could you come up, make your way up? It's great to see all the people here. I hope everybody got enough to eat. We never got any RSVP, so we never know how much food to provide. So, but anyway, I'm glad to see so many people here. This year we got a special award. Over the years, the Liebensteins, Paul and Barb, have had so many tours and so many kids for education to come to the farm and really learn how we produce milk and provide food for people. I've been there where we've had 300 kids from the cities come to the farm, and we have different places they can go, and we even had Miss America there one year. So we need to educate the public, or there'd be somebody telling us what to do down the road. So we need to really explain why we do what we do, and so we don't have rules and regulations that we can't live with. So we have a plaque, and it says to Barb and Paul Barb Liebenstein appreciates your time and effort to educate and promote agriculture through farm tours. So thank you very much.
So I was really just wanted to come because Dean was getting honored today, and I didn't know, Tom, you were too, but those 2 men are huge mentors to me, as my career in agriculture didn't start until I married the cutest single dairy farmer in Bryce County. And he happens to be going to his physical today for his knee replacement. That's going to happen next Thursday, otherwise Paul would be here for sure. But again, Rice County has been a great home for agriculture, and the great farmers that are here have made Wolf Creek Dairy what it is. And I would be way remiss if I didn't say thanks to Art Madsen, because without his help, we wouldn't have gotten to meet all the great people that we've met on the farms and help kids learn where milk comes from. So thanks a million, Art. We'll thank you forever on Wolf Creek Dairy. So, and again, to the rest of you that are our friends, you have been just kind and generous with your time and knowledge to make us better dairy farmers as well. Lots could be said about Dean Franz. All good and interesting for sure. But he certainly was always up for the challenge of making us think about what we were doing and why we were doing it. So again, what a great day to be part of this. And thank you to the Farm Bureau. This is quite unexpected and much appreciated. We could never do the things that we do on the farm with that many people without the help of Farm Bureau. And of course, our Rice County ADA, who shows up and makes cheeseburgers and malts and just does all the work behind the scenes that gets done. So I can just stand out there in the
the parlor and talk about milking cows. And thank you, Rice County ADA. You're an amazing group of people, and I'm proud to be a part of that as well.
Well, thank you, Barb.
Probably the most important person we need to recognize. Everybody put your hands together for Jerry Grosskreutz for always sponsoring this. Jerry, you do a fantastic job. I talked to people all over from southern Minnesota, northern Iowa, western Wisconsin that ask me about Jerry Grosskreutz, and they tell me he is the best farm director they have ever heard. And I fully agree, and I'm sure you do too. Thank you to everyone who came today, everyone that's involved in this program, whether you nominated people, whether you were an award recipient. A reminder to our 3 Hall of Fame people, leave those plaques. We'll get them displayed in the Gillen Building. And we got a couple of our Rice County Commissioners here. Thank you, Rice County Commissioners, for all you do to make agriculture the backbone of our economy here in Rice County. Thanks for supporting the Rice County Fair.
I'd also like to thank Dundas and Egg Partners over in Morristown and the Dakota Rice Corn and Soybean Growers in cooperation with the Rice County Pork Producers are helping sponsor this broadcast. Mark your calendars, Winker Open coming up in August, more details. And also thanks to Gordy back at the studio engineering for us. And again, thank you all for coming.